So we're going to look at probability in this video. I'm actually breaking probability up into a few different videos. So this is kind of the basic, and we're also going to look at odds here, which is actually not the same as probability. We'll talk about that. So probability is basically the number of a specific event happening divided by the total number of possibilities. So we're going to look at, in this case, a spinner. We have 4 different possibilities here, 1, 2, 3, or 4, and we're going to spin the spinner, and we want to know the probability that's going to land on certain things. So the total number of possibilities here is 4, so that's going to be our denominator in every case. So the number, what's the probability that spinner falls on 1? Well, the possibilities to fall on 1 is 1. So it's going to be 1 out of the total 4. So it's just 1/4. If we look at the probability that falls on 1 or 4, what are the possibilities that it falls on a 1 or a 4? Well, it could fall on 1 or it could fall on 4. So there's 2 possibilities out of the total 4, and that reduces to 1/2. One note here, probabilities can be expressed as in 3 different ways. It can be expressed as a fraction, which I'm doing here, a decimal, in which case you would just divide 1 by 4 and get 0.25. Or sometimes percent. Sometimes when you hear people talk about probabilities, you hear like there's a 50% chance of rain, for example. So this would be 25%. Remember, to change decimal to a percent, you move the decimal place 2 units to the right, or 2 places to the right. So just pay attention when you're answering questions, you know, if it's asking you to write it, express it as a decimal versus a fraction, etc. Okay, on this one, 1 and 4, the probability that it falls on 1 and 4. And means both. Is it possible for that spinner to fall on 1 and 4 at the same time? It's not. So there are 0 possibilities for this. So 0 out of 4, which is just 0. And then lastly, probability that it does not fall on 3. Well, if it doesn't fall on 3, that means it could fall on 1, 2, or 4. So there are 3 possibilities out of the 4. And if we write that as a decimal, that'd be 0.75 or 75%. Okay, moving on, we have a drawer with 5 single socks, yellow socks, 4 single red socks, and 7 single blue socks. If we randomly pull a sock from this drawer, we want to know the probability of these different scenarios. So the probability that we pull a blue sock, well, how many possibilities are there? There are 7 blue socks, so there are 7 possibilities if you were to randomly pull a sock. Out of the total number of possibilities, which would be the total number of socks, 5 plus 4 is 9, plus 7 is 16. So 7/16 is the probability. Then we move to the probability that you pull a yellow or blue. So it could be either one. So there are 5 yellow, 7 blue. So there's 12 possibilities of pulling either a yellow or a blue. So 12 out of the total number of socks, again, was 16. And then we can reduce that. 4 goes into 12 3 times, and into 16 4 times. And then the probability that it's not blue, so that would mean that it was either yellow or red. So either yellow or red, that would be 5 plus 4 or 9 possibilities that it was not blue out of the total number of possibilities, 16. All right, and then, so that's kind of an introduction to probabilities, just some basic kind of examples. Now we're going to look at odds. Odds are not the same as probability. A lot of times people like to use it as the same, but it's actually not. The definition is it's a ratio of the number of favorable outcomes to the number of unfavorable outcomes. So probability is the number of the specific outcome divided by the total number of outcomes. So this is just favorable number of outcomes divided by the total number of unfavorable. So it's not the total number of outcomes, it's the total number of unfavorable. So in the above example, if we look at this, we already found the probability of pulling a blue is 7 out of 16. If we want to find odds in favor of pulling a blue socks, what we're looking at is the ratio of the number of blue socks, since that's the favorable thing here. The ratio, and this is just a ratio, when you see that colon there, that's just a way to express a ratio. So it's the number of blue to the number of unfavorable, so how many are not blue? So that would be 5 yellow and 4 red, so that would be 9, but I'll go ahead and write this out. So that would, the unfavorable in this case would be the number of not blue. So the number of blue is 7, and the number of not blue, 5 plus 4, is 9. So that is the odds, 7 to 9. There's a 7 to 9 odds that we would pull a blue sock. Again, not the same as probability as we saw up here. There's a 7 out of 16 chance that we would get a blue sock. but the odds are 7 to 9. Okay, so that's a little bit of an introduction. So we'll move on to some more probability in the next video.